There's nothing like this creator. Has no partners, no sons, no daughters. There's no companion, nothing even close, nothing you can even imagine is like him, right? It's the God of Noah, Abraham, David, Solomon, Jesus, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon all of them. It's the same God that they worship. So Muslims, we worship the same God as Abraham, Noah, David, Solomon, all through the Old Testament and the New Testament. Same God, that one almighty being. That's Allah. That's who we worship. Now, we call all those names I mentioned before you, we call them prophets because the definition of Islam is from the root word Islama, right? Islama means to submit. So whoever submits their will to that one almighty creator that I just mentioned before is a Muslim. So that's why we call Noah, Abraham, David, Solomon, Jesus, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon them. We call them all prophets, messengers. They all had, they were given, this information by God to give to man on how they should live their life. What's right, what's wrong, according to God. So we call all of them Muslim, and anybody who submits to Allah is a Muslim, period. That's the basic definition of Islam. You know what I mean? In order to be Muslim, you just have to believe in that one almighty creator, and then you have to believe in the messengers and the final messenger. That's it. That's the requirement for being a Muslim. Once you have that belief, you take your shahada and you just testify to it, and that's it. But those are the two main things you need to be Muslim. After that, it's then practicing like the little details on how to pray and how to worship, how to submit, and how to do prayers, things like that. But that could take your whole lifetime to learn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But do you have a belief or anything right now, or
I do. I believe in God.
just a God, or does it have a name, or
Jehovah.
Jehovah? Okay. So it's a Jehovah Witness then, or no, not just you. Okay. So what do you say? How you doing?
I grew up apostolic, Baptist,
Right.
Christian.
So you went kind of through them.
Denomination. So I just, when my son passed away, it kind of just.
I'm sorry for your loss.
To, a different, a whole different variety of just, just focusing really on me, getting my inner self together.
Right.
So, But when I walk past, I just it
drew you to it. I mean, there's a
there
reason. There's a reason why you came across. Like this. We believe that Allah, He guides who He wills, and in this, He can guide you in the smallest way that you don't even realize. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you were just coming for some shades or a hat or something, and I just happened to be here at this time, and you know what I mean. So, but this is how He guides people. You know what I mean? Little by little. But now it's upon you to kind of look into. Have you ever read the Quran before?
I have not.
I'll give you a free copy, no problem. This is a gift from me to you. But Islam is, like I said, it's a real simplistic belief. This is what we believe, and that same God that you call Jehovah, you call them.
Okay.
It's this is a placement name that the Jews gave him a long time ago, because they felt God's his name is so holy that they use these other names to describe him and mention him in the old scriptures. But Allah is a common name. It's been around even before Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, written in the Quran. Allah, that phrase was around a long time ago. Even Jesus, before Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, in his native language, God was Elah in Syriac, and then Syriac Aramaic was Allah. So this phrase, this term, this name was around before already. And we believe this is like the name of God. Now, we believe God has many names, but this is the one that we usually use for him. But again, it's the same God as Jesus worship. If you read any of the New Testament, Jesus was always submissive to the Father. Now, the Father is just a term they used, again, the Jews, just to describe, for their God. Not that he's their Father, but that's what they call them. So in that, you see in the New Testament, Jesus is always submissive to the Father, praying to the Father, everything through the Father. Right, even like when they asked him how to pray, Jesus said the last prayer, right? And it's all, our Father out in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Not my kingdom come, thy kingdom come. So we believe that same God Jesus was praying to, that same in the Garden of Gethsemane before the crucifixion, when he put his head on the ground, he was praying to that same God. As a matter of fact, the same way that Muslims pray, right?
That's
we
right.
pray with our head on the ground.
That's right.
If you look in there too, you see Moses prayed with his face on the ground.
Right.
Abraham prayed with his face on the ground. It's all in there. Joshua prayed with his face on the ground. Is that a coincidence? No. They were all worshiping that same God that we worship. So now this message, it's not a new message. This is reaffirming the old message. and it's just bringing you the final revelation of that message. So this is the same message of Noah, Abraham, David, Solomon. This is the same message. It's just the final version of that message. Now, we believe that when those messengers came, they came to a certain people. That was for the certain people, and then that was it. It wasn't for all time. We believe the messengers came to a specific group, to a specific people, giving that message, and then eventually the message was lost or corrupted, or humans go astray. So then he would send another messenger, Noah, Abraham, Solomon, and this kept happening. This was the pattern. So we believe all that kept happening all the way through Jesus, all the way down to Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, the final message. Now, because there are going to be no more messengers after Muhammad, he's the seal of the prophets, peace be upon him, this book is now going to be preserved. So now God, Allah, makes a statement in the book saying that it's going to be preserved because there's no more prophets after that. So, this pattern that was happening, now that has to stop. Now this is going to be the final revelation. No more prophets, that's it. So that's why in the book it tells you that it's preserved. It is we who revealed the Quran, and surely we will protect it. This is what Allah is saying. And now we know that this book has been preserved. It's been preserved in two modes. One, the written, which we have, our earliest manuscript is the Birmingham Quran, which is in the UK. It's been carbon dated by Oxford University to the end of the Prophet's life, within the first century, the first 50 years or so, it's been carbon dated back to that. It's the same as we have in the Arabic, the same Quran today. So we have a copy. It's not all the way filled. It's like maybe 90-something%, but then we have another one after that just completes it. So it's like almost say word for word, sound for sound, same. Then the second mode of retaining it is through memorization. So we have the names of our scribes who wrote the Quran. We have and their biographies. We have the names of the people who memorized the Quran, okay, and who taught others. And there's a chain of that also. Okay. Their names and biographies. We have you can actually, so I have a few people in my family who have it memorized, and you can trace those people back, your teacher, all the way back to 1400 years. This is a way of preserving the book, making sure it's the same. If this book was destroyed, Muslims will have it back in a day or two because people just have it memorized. It's the most memorized book in the world. It's about millions of people have it memorized around the world.
I know, for the past really 3 months.
Yeah.
I just really got on Facebook. Hadn't been on Facebook long, but a lot of Farrakhan, a lot of people say, towards the women, I've just really been you hear something before, but it don't really take heed to your ear.
Yeah.
But it's I just really been on it. I just really, just been, so I follow him, so, and then when you walk by, I was like.
You said who, Farrakhan?
Mm-hmm.
See, that's not really Islam. That's not this. Islam, Farrakhan and them, they're the nation of Islam. So they took our name and put it onto their religion.
And
the
became
nation,
something else?
Yeah, the nation of Islam they don't follow the same exact thing as we do. They may mention Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. They may mention the Quran, but their whole thing is that, Farrakhan, they consider the honorable Elijah Muhammad to be a prophet. We know that in Islam, there's no more prophets. If anybody comes afterwards and say they're a prophet, they're not Muslim. So they can call themselves the Nation of Islam, but you're not Muslim if you believe that Elijah Muhammad's a prophet. Done. Okay. You're outside of Islam. Yeah, so they can say that. Anybody can say they Muslim. Hell, the terrorists say they Muslim, right? When they blow something up. Yeah. But that don't mean that they Muslim. You know what I'm saying? So what I explained to you as Muslim is exactly what I said before.
Okay, gotcha.
That's a Muslim. If you believe anything outside of that, like Elijah Muhammad's a prophet, or this person's a prophet, that person's a prophet, then you're outside of the fold of Islam. You ain't Muslim. You can say that, but
deep.
Yeah.
Because not to really know the history of it, and I like the way that, and I appreciate you, breaking it down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Giving it, because you want to know what you're getting into.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what and that's funny because I speak to a lot of people here, and they do bring up the nation, and they think it's the same, and I always have to clarify.
That's why
you always have to clarify because listen. There's some good teachings in what they teach, but they extract that from Islam. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So there's some good teachings, and this is what enticed people back in the 60s or whatever when they first started. It was enticing the black people because it was unifying black people. You know what I'm saying? At the time of segregation, it was making them strong. So this drew a lot of people to it. But when the Elijah Muhammad passed, and now Farrakhan, he's getting older, the religion is slowly fading away. And that's what happens when you have a false religion. When those people who started it pass away, that religion usually,
Just stayed,
yes.
stayed.
But ironically, you know what happened to a lot of the people who was in that faith became real Muslims, like Malcolm X. You know, Malcolm X started off that way. Then he read about the real.
Yeah.
So, but that's what happened to a lot of them. Actually, the people, but they still around. But with this message being the way it is, it's preserved. It's still the fastest growing religion in the world. People still coming to it in droves. More women than men. Okay, women actually adopting the religion more than men. It's just numbers. So it's still growing, even despite all of the negative publicity that Fox gives you and all of that nonsense.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
I had to stop, but I know I'm on a run.
Yeah, I got you. No, but what I want you to do is, okay, eventually you're gonna read the book, but here, take this too. This is a free book here. Inside of it is gonna be like in the beginning, it's gonna show you some miracles that are in the Quran you can look at, and then in the back it'll give you some general information about, the status of women in Islam, justice and human rights. It's going to give you some information about the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. That's where your next step lies. You already have this natural belief to believe in the one Almighty Creator. That's your natural fitrah. We call that your natural disposition of believing in the Creator. You already have that. So your second step now is looking into the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, the person who delivered this book for you. Read it, find out about him. Once you learn about him, then you can make a decision. Wow, was this man lying? Was he crazy?
Right.
Was he possessed? Was he telling the truth? These are the possibilities. But once you look into it, there's no doubt about it. You're going to be left with one conclusion that, this man had to be telling the truth.
Right.
Everything he said has come to pass. Everything he said is nothing been lied. Nothing been, you know what I mean? There's nothing bad that you can find about him like that. So look into that, and that's going to be the second part of it. Well, I'm going to just give you that's my name, Ibrahim, like Abraham. All right, that's my email and phone number. When you have questions, I want you to text me because it's probably the best way to reach me.
Okay.
But text me any questions. No questions off limit. Now, this book is not open to interpretation. All right. The book has already been interpreted by the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and the companions around him. Our scholars have clarified some things, but the book is already interpreted. So some things in there be clear, and then some things may not be so clear. You can text me and I'll get you the answer to what the meaning of those verses.
Okay.
Because this book was revealed over 23 years. So there are things that were going on in his life that they may apply to, and you may not understand it. So text me with any questions you have.
will.
All right, what's your name?
Asia.
Asia. I'm Ibrahim. It was nice meeting you, Asia.
That's
But
what you said? How'd you say?
Ibrahim.
Ibrahim?
Yep.
Okay.
You're very welcome. You have a good day, okay?